because we're doing a live stream, right?
Yeah.
So is it that in the stream you're gonna hear us talking live, or is it just like we're just recording
'Cause we're
this and then
doing
we're
a
gonna
live
upload
stream,
it
right?
later?
Oh yeah, I'm doing a live recording. Okay, so it seems like they. I checked the YouTube version real quick, and it seems like the audio is working. So, greetings, denizens of the internet. You can call me Nitro Indigo, and today I'll be discussing the 2025 Pixar film Elio with the real life friend I watched it with. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name's Loco. I also watched the film.
Yeah. Okay, so more specific, we watched this 3 days ago, I think, and my door just opened due to the wind. Just give me a moment.
We watched it Tuesday, didn't we?
Anyway, and we were the only people in the cinema, probably because it was the early afternoon on a school day.
Also, I don't think this movie seems to be getting much traction.
Yeah, so, yeah, it didn't get much advertising. I just saw a poster for it outside my local cinema and thought, might as well watch. I might as well watch it at some point. It'd be fun to do. Which is at least more marketing than the live-action Snow White movie got, which came out months ago, but I had literally not seen any advertisement for it until today when I saw it on the side, a poster for it on the side of a bus.
I didn't even know that film came out until I started seeing bad reviews about it.
Yeah, and meanwhile I work in a supermarket and they just have like Minecraft movie branded Doritos, and I've seen the Minecraft McFlurries in McDonald's. But anyway, I think the best way to talk about this movie would go to it through it scene by scene, and just basically summarise the plot and say what we think about it.
Mm-hmm.
So it starts out in like a space station where we learn that Elio's was very lonely and upset because and he's been raised by his aunt because ever since his parents died. And honestly, when I first saw, like, at first I was half expecting it to turn out the parents weren't dead, they were just abducted by aliens. And then I realised that would kind of go against the whole movie's point of, like, the mundane being the fantastical being an escape from the mundane, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah.
The juxtaposition between someone having mundane problems and extraordinary problems, in which this case, aliens. But anyway, he wanders off into this exhibit that's closed off, which has the Voyager space probe in it. Is it Voyager?
I think so. And it was the thing that was, like, broadcasting its search for, like, alien life or something.
Yeah.
And then Elio gets inspired by that and wants to, like, and he basically becomes obsessed with aliens and tries to get abducted.
Yeah. I was just checking that the YouTube version was uploaded was still working, because I have done 2 different live streams where my microphone was muted the entire time and I didn't realise until afterwards. Fortunately, my audio is definitely working. But basically, the Voyager thing confused me because I thought at first he was like it was a replica of the space probe, but I thought somehow that was when he pressed the button he contacted the aliens, but no, they weren't directly related. But anyway, he starts getting a radio. He sets up this big crop circle on the beach, basically asking aliens to abduct him, and he also gets a radio where he tries to tune into alien frequencies.
And eventually he actually succeeds.
Yeah. And also before that, I want to mention there's a scene where Elio is in his bedroom and he climbs up onto the roof. And I really like the shot because it shows like an aerial view of the town where all the houses look the same, but Elio's is like has all these fluorescent lights in it, which shows that he sort of stands out in a very boring world.
Yeah.
It's not art house cinema, but I liked it. What's next?
I mean, there's also the whole thing where he starts the whole, like, club or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he gets beaten up by these 2 teenage boys. Boys that are definitely older than him, and I don't know either of their names. And then, so, as a result, they all get sent to this summer camp, basically. And, Elio doesn't like it because he just thinks his aunt, whose name is Olga, just wants to get rid of him. But then, like, while he's escaping from some bullies, earlier in the film, like, the military space station people send a receive a message from out of space, and he answers it when no one's looking. So, like, later on, when he's escaping from some bullies in the summer camp, the aliens come to abduct him because they think he's the leader of Earth.
Yeah.
And the scene that follows is...
So is it too late to give a spoiler warning?
Oh, yeah, like spoilers, obviously, because we're going scene by scene. Anyway, so, like, the scene is really cool, actually, because, like, after he gets sucked up into the weird portal thing, he's in, like, this white room at first, and then he just starts, like, it just starts rotating, and I just really like abstract, surreal visuals.
Yeah, the alien world looks really cool.
So he meets this supercomputer thing called Ooh, which definitely looks like a marketable plushie. You can see it on the hand side of the image here.
Yeah.
And then he gets introduced to this place called the Communiverse, which is basically the United States nations in space. And the three main characters he interacts with are this pink manta ray slug thing called Questa, who I quite like because she's very pretty and has a British accent. And this other slug-looking guy whose name I can't remember, and the rock guy whose name I also can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're mentioned very often. But basically,
I think they're just there to like introduce us to this world, and I think only Slug Woman has plot relevance.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I kind of like the shot of the Communiverse because we see all these different locations and every different colours, like, and a bunch, and it just feels like the part of the movie where they just show off. And yeah, it is just pretty much pure spectacle, but it's a visual medium. We are allowed to have some spectacle as a treat.
Yeah.
And also, these blue coelacanth-looking guys on the right-hand side of this key art with the yellow faces remind me of the river spirit from Spirited Away, which is a bit of a weird thing to reference, but I don't think it's an intentional reference. But I know it sounds a bit out there, but that's what they reminded me of. Anyway, then he goes basically into this United Nations meeting where this evil warlord guy is just demanding to become a member of the Communiverse. And when I first saw him, I honestly thought he was just going to be a joke character who gets, like, disappears after 5 minutes because he seems so cartoonishly over the top. Sort of like Emperor Zurg from Toy Story.
Yeah.
So then Elio gets the bright idea to try to negotiate with him in order to save the Communiverse. And oh gosh, I can't.
And then well, he freaks out for a bit.
Yeah. And then he consults.
And then he gets the idea to, I don't remember the exact reason why he did this, but he gets the idea to clone himself and then send a clone back to the regular world.
Ooh tells him about the cloning thing because the idea is that all the ambassadors basically get clones to fulfill their duties while they're in the Communiverse, which is kind of confusing because I thought it was like the whole point of the Communiverse was that it was like all these planets knew about each other's existence, and it would be a bit weird for an ambassador to also be the leader of their population because, you know, they'd be too busy. Mm-hmm. But honestly, I think the thing I really like, I just really want to know more about this universe, but since this movie flopped, I don't think we ever will. Where's the Elio expanded universe, Pixar?
Yeah. Maybe Pixar will do the thing that they used to do of making like a TV series of their like popular movies, like they did with like Kung Fu Panda or How to Train Your Dragon.
Those were both DreamWorks.
That's okay, yeah, that's
DreamWorks. The only Pixar movie to ever get like a proper television series is Toy Story with Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, and also the Toy Story Treats shorts.
Yeah.
And then Cars has some like spin-offs on Disney Plus, but some Pixar short spin-offs and also a Disney Plus series. But other than that,
yeah. Anyway, we're getting sidetracked.
Yeah, but then then basically Elio consults this magic infinity-shaped encyclopedia thing that was introduced earlier to ask ideas how to do negotiations, and he basically writes a bunch of notes onto his hand and then sneaks onto the Overlord guy. I can't remember his name, but it's something beginning with G.
Well, he doesn't sneak on. He gets abducted into it.
Oh yeah, and
because they're expecting him to be the negotiator.
Yeah, and like he basically like he has to do these negotiations while shooting these weird these weird like dandelion-looking
Flower
things.
things, yeah.
Yeah. But eventually he decides, like, he bluffs his way at first, and then he gets thrown in prison, but he uses his anti-gravity thing that was established earlier, because he has this blue badge that appears sometimes, to sneak out of the prison. And I like it when characters make creative use of their powers. And then he meets the movie's deuteragonist, the caterpillar-looking guy on the right, called Glorden.
He's my favourite character.
Yeah.
I love him.
I don't say can't really pick a favourite character, but yeah, he is very cute and endearing, and his introduction honestly kind of reminded me of the Kezu from Monster Hunter, which is basically this weird worm-looking dragon with a lot of teeth and no eyes, and it lives in caves.
And they do the thing of like build up to like this terrible monster, and then like they do the fake out of they're actually just like a harmless marshmallow.
Yeah. So basically, then Elio realizes that he can use what's his name, Glorden as a bargaining chip by holding him hostage and basically making the warlord guy turn out that if he gives
to leave the communiverse alone in exchange for getting his son back.
Yes, and yeah, that's
and
I
also
couldn't think how to word it.
Yeah, and also by also doing some sort of like ceremony they have where like because his species are just like these slugs in mechs, right? Yeah. They do the ceremony where
he gets put into the armor.
Yeah.
But they used a clone of him, and since it was established in an earlier scene, we need to talk about the B plot. I just realised that when clones get damaged, they just sort of turn into green goo, and then maybe reassemble themselves. He basically puts the clone, when the clone Gordon goes into the armour, which has a lot of spikes in it, it instantly pops, and also, even before that, the warlord guy was suspicious. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, Gordon is the warlord guy's son.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to look up these characters' names real quick. I can't just keep saying warlord guy, because that sounds stupid.
I'm just running off of memory at the moment.
His name is, Lord Grygon.
Grygon.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anyway. And then meanwhile, in the subplot, there's a subplot that deals with Aunt Olga, basically me trying to interact with Elio's clone. But he acts like basically a very normal, sensible person and is very happy about being beaten up, which Olga finds confusing at first. But then we have a few scenes where it seems like Olga likes him more than the real Elio. Or Elio, sorry. Why do I keep saying... That's how I thought it was pronounced before I saw her at Elio. But then there's it turns out she actually had her suspicions, which are confirmed when she finds that one of the clone Elio's loose hairs, trying to return to his main body. And then we have this scene that's really suspenseful, probably the best in the movie. And it's shot like a horror movie, and then where she realizes he's a clone, and then where she
peels the plaster off of his face just to reveal that there's just nothing underneath.
Yeah, that's a good scene. And then, what else happens in that B plot? I mean, there was a scene where the clone Elio accidentally cuts the top of his fingers off.
Yeah.
Or one finger. But then, anyway, after Lord Grygon finds out that Elio tricked him, we have the kind of obligatory liar revealed scene where, Elio tells all the ambassadors that he's not actually the leader of Earth, and they send him back home on this weird spherical spaceship that only he can open. But unlike most liar reveal scenes, they're not really mad at him. It's just more like they're kind of scared because now this alien warlord guy is burning the place down, and they send him home. But
we also have to talk about the reason why they even decided to clone.
Yeah. It was because
I'm never gonna remember his name.
Glorden.
It's because Glorden. It's because he didn't want to
be put in the armor.
Be put in the armor.
Yeah. So he just
he was afraid of telling his
dad that
he didn't want that.
Yeah. And actually, before that, we had and after they get back to the universe, there's a really nice scene where Elio and Glorden are just having fun everywhere, getting flushed down the toilet. which really
Yeah.
shows off the fluid simulations they did in Elemental. Let's see. What else is there? Words. And anyway. So I can't remember exactly what happens as soon as, like,
Oh
Elio
yeah,
gets home.
After they found out
Wait,
out
they sent him
that
home in a portal, not a spaceship,
Gordon
which
was
is important
Yeah.
because of something that happens later. And at first, like, and then we have some funny scenes with, like, the two Elios together, and I can't remember what Helga's reaction to it is. No, it's not Helga, it's Olga. What are... They sound similar, okay?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
but like, yeah, Elo gets sent back to his regular world once the Communiverse finds out that like he tried to dupe them.
Yeah. As I said,
And also he confesses that he's not actually the leader of Earth.
Yeah. And then I can't remember exactly what happens next, but basically, there's a scene where like Gordon gets into the ambassadorship thing that which Elio put him in earlier to hide him from the Lord Grygon. And then he accidentally sends himself to Earth, but he gets trapped because he can't, because only Elio can open it. So he ends up landing on Earth and getting taken to a military base. And then the two Elios and Olga have to sneak in to save him. And they have quite a dark but funny scene where, like, the clone Elio melts in front of some guards in order to distract them, and he references Terminator.
Yeah. Also, the crux of the climax is that Gordon, like,
he's freezing.
Gordon can't stand like regular temperature because
he's
like
lived indoors his whole life.
Because he's lived near lava his whole life. Yeah. So basically, when they find him, he's basically like
dying,
having hypothermia.
Yeah, that's actually what they say. So then they have to Olga, Elio have to basically have to fly the ambassadorship thing back to the Communiverse. But first they have to do... There's this cool scene where they dodge space debris, and they get help from all the military people, including this guy called Major Mac, who appeared earlier. And I think he might be voiced by John Ratzenberger because he's in most Pixar movies, but I'm not sure. It's Gunther Melmack, and he is not voiced by John Ratzenberger. I didn't actually notice any of the typical Pixar Easter eggs. If there's an A113 and or Duxobol in this movie, please let me know in the chat and or the comments. But only once, because if someone else says, because if I get multiple comments about the same thing, it gets kind of repetitive, but you could still... Actually, just comment anyway. It's good for the algorithm and also makes me feel less lonely. Anyway, the space debris scene is cool because it was established earlier that that's what the military base specialises in, and they actually remember that they're moving in 3 dimensions. But then eventually, after they clear that, they get to go into hyperspeed, basically, and go back. And there's a scene where basically another really cool scene where Lord Grygon basically rips himself out of his armor, which once again is full of spikes, I should remind you. So he has all these scars on him when he gets out, in order to basically to get close to his son and warm him up.
And then you have the movie like fake out death scene.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, obviously, yeah. Although obviously it wasn't really more of a fake out death because we already knew he was in danger of dying. It's more like a last minute rescue thing.
Well, yeah, but like they make you think they were too late for a moment.
Oh yeah. Anyway, I forgot to mention earlier that the caterpillar people can like spin silk, sort of like silkworms or spiders or several other arthropods. And let's see. But anyway, and then all the ambassadors offer Elio a place to be the ambassador of Earth, but he declines And honestly, I kind of found that scene disappointing because like that's the most bog standard way this sort of story can end. A character is whisked away to a fantastical world and then they just go home at the end, but I honestly thought it would have been more interesting if both Olga and Elio had decided to stay in the Communiverse, because then like Elio's accepted Olga as a guardian, but he's also embraced his new life as well. It reminds me of the ending of Smallfoot, where there's which is this movie about Yetis who don't believe that humans exist, and at the end they accidentally reveal they have some Yetis running around the city in Nepal, and then like some guy lies and pretends it was him in a costume in order to preserve the Yeti's existence. But then at the end, the Yetis decide to reveal their existence to humans on their own terms. Well, that was pretty interesting. It's yeah. No, I know Smallfoot's not like a masterpiece or anything. Does have some very stupid jokes, but it's surprisingly good for what it was. But anyway, what is kind of cool though is that at least they don't like wipe everyone's memories or something, and they let Earth know about the existence of aliens because they see everyone sees the Communiverse in the sky when they return the Solaces, which is Elio and Olga's surname, by the way. Yeah. So that's pretty cool, and like they can still contact. And like Elio can still use his radio to contact the aliens from time to time, and
he doesn't completely abandon them at the end of the movie.
Wait, what do you mean by he doesn't completely abandon them? I don't know who these pronouns are.
Oh, okay, I think a microphone cut out. I'm just saying, Elio doesn't completely abandon the Communiverse because he still has contact with them at the end.
I think that's a version of that. Yeah, I do like it when two different worlds remain in contact at the end of the story, even if they don't even if characters don't stay in one permanently. I wish that was more common. And it's implied that Elio might become the ambassador for Earth when he grows up.
Yeah.
Let's see. So overall, I thought Elio was like a good movie. It didn't really have one scene that pushed it into great territory for me. Sort of like the panic attack scene in Inside Out 2. And the plot is quite straightforward, but it has some very nice, inventive visuals. And I honestly haven't really seen what the general consensus of this movie is, because I don't really watch Pixar movie reviews anymore. I haven't for years. But I've also heard that the plot was quite different originally. Let me just paraphrase the TV tropes page. Well, first of all, it was originally supposed to come out last year. Basically, the original one was supposed to be more basically be a metaphor for the co-director Adrian Molina's lonely childhood, and basically, but Pixar decided to pivot away from stories that were sort of like autobiographical, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's gone through heavy rewrites, kind of like The Good Dinosaur or Toy Story 4. When the opposite, what happened to Incredibles 2, where it got pulled forwards a year because they swapped it with Toy Story 4 in the production order or something. Yeah.
Like, I don't know why this movie flopped really. I don't know if it's because
they didn't market it because it came out around the same time as live action How to Train Your Dragon, and 28 years later, the last one, which is for a very different demographic, but still.
Yeah.
And also Lilo and Stitch and the new Fantastic Four movie. the live-action Lilo and Stitch, which nobody likes, but at least people actually talk about it, which is more than can be said for Snow White.
Yeah.
So, do you have any other thoughts on this movie?
Well, aside from just like, I liked the movie. I feel a little bit bad that it's not doing very well, because I feel like I don't know, it's not groundbreaking, but at the same time, it's not like.
A lot of Pixar movies have been flopping over the past few years. Like Elemental, maybe I think did it. I'm not actually sure. Or like The Good Dinosaur really started that trend, and that was like almost a decade ago. Wow. Wait, no. Wait, how old's The Good Dinosaur? I think it might actually be over a decade old. I need to go check real quick.
It might be actually.
Yeah, it came out in 2015. It's literally a decade old. Oh my goodness, where is time?
Oh.
What is time? Although
God.
I think it came out in the autumn, so it's not 20. It's not 10 just yet. What else? But anyway, if mentioned earlier, I don't really watch Pixar movie reviews anymore, and that's because like I realised they started to all blend together after a while because they're just saying, "Oh, this movie was good, but it's not as good as the glorious pre-Cars 2 days of Pixar." Which, like, obviously it's fine if you don't like, say, Inside Out as much as their older films, but honestly, these reviews just started sounding more like vague gut feelings than like anything actually concrete, and it just sort of started to get a bit pretentious for me.
Yeah, I feel like a problem, at least Pixar's starting to have, is that they've made so many movies, right? That the newer movies they make start to feel derivative of ones they've made before.
Yeah. And also, I think Disney's no longer too big to fail, because, like, a lot of their movies have been underperforming lately, and I think this is part of it, which honestly is a shame, because even if this movie's not, like, going in, like, the most amazing thing in the world, it's still good. And...
Yeah.
And I just remembered another theme I want to talk about is that nearly every Pixar movie is about parental relationships, be they literal, metaphorical, or both, and that is definitely a theme here, because you have the whole plot of Elio trying to accept Olga as as a mother figure, basically, contrasted with or actually not contrasted, which is sort of parallels how Gordon and doesn't really get along with his dad.
Yeah.
And that's it's kind of similar to Lilo and Stitch now that I think about it, because you have this kid whose parents recently died, and then he gets involved with aliens. Okay, maybe it's not that similar besides a very vague description, but still.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, if you want to know, elaborate on the parental relationships in Pixar movies, I'm pretty sure the only ones that don't have that are like A Bug's Life, Cars, all of the Cars and Monsters University. If you name any other Pixar movie, I can give you an example of a parental type relationship in it. Well, except Luca, and because I don't know much about it and I haven't seen it, or Turning Red, or what other Pixar movies haven't I seen? I think it's just those two, or Soul. But I know what happens in Turning Red. It's about generational trauma, just like Elemental and Ruby Gillman, which all came out within a year of each other, and two of them were by the same company. Ruby Gillman is by DreamWorks, by the way. Yeah. Anyway. What other themes are there in this movie?
Oh, hang on a second.
Well, what are you doing?
Hello.
Hey.
Yep. Sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, as you said, I thought. What did you just go to do?
Oh, it was just someone knocked on my door.
Okay. Do we have anything else to say about this movie? There was
Not really that I can think.
weird song at the start, which didn't really, which was went during mainly the montage of Elio building the circle thing, which it was sounded a bit weird at first because it didn't sound like they were really singing, but it became catchy after a while, even though I can't remember any of the words now. And for some reason, it reminded me of that weird song in Run Lola Run that goes like, "I wish I was a hunter without any food," something like that. Which again, I know is a bit of a weird thing to compare a Pixar movie to, but it was like one of the 2 films I had to watch in film class that I actually enjoyed because I'm an uncultured swine who can't enjoy anything made before the 1980s. Hey, it's nothing personal. I know obviously there is artistic merit to all those old movies we had to watch, but I just found them kind of boring. Which is, I didn't hate watching them, but I just don't remember anything. Let's see.
A problem I have is that my memory is not great.
My memory's sometimes good and sometimes isn't. I can't really remember the specific lines of dialogue, but it's just I remember the overall vibe. And I don't really have much to say about this as I did about the Mario movie.
I've seen the Mario movie.
Oh yeah, I did a video talking about that a few years ago.
Ah. A few years ago. When did the Mario movie come out?
2023, didn't it?
Man, it's already been 2 years.
Yeah.
2023, April 5th. Wow, it's been 2 years already. Mad. Alright, but I don't think I've got anything left to say for Elio.
Yeah, neither do I really, but we don't have to drag this stream out if we don't need to, because I'm pretty tired, to be honest.
Yeah. I've not eaten at all today.
Oh, really? That doesn't sound good.
Probably not. I should probably eat something.
Go and do that then. So
I will when the stream ends.
So thank you all for watching, and until next time, stay interested.